Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here with us. I'm very happy to welcome you all to this new digital talk hosted by Première Vision. So today, China. China is the largest country to emerge from the crisis and is now going from defensive to offensive. And today we will see how a fashion brand can play to win and address successfully to Chinese consumers. And we will try to identify the tricks to know the challenges to face. Our two guests today are both living in Shanghai. Luc Buono, you're a fashion designer, you're a creative designer. You work with many brands and you founded your consultancy company almost 3 years ago. And I've been working in China for the last 16 years. Welcome, Luc.
Hello, Karine. Hello from Shanghai.
and Vladimir Jurovic, you're the founder and the CEO of Lab Brand.
Hello, Karine.
Hello, Vladimir. So to start with, Vladimir, what is Lab Brand? Can you introduce us to it and how do you work? What is your role?
Lab Brand is a brand consultancy. It was founded in 2005 in Shanghai, and we work around it. When we started, we were working principally around the Chinese name creation for brands that were entering the market. So with the years, we developed new services, and we are now a full-fledged brand consultancy with research, strategy, design, and other digital innovation capabilities.
Okay, thank you. What about you, Luc? As a French designer working in China, what can you say about the situation now? As you can see it every day, and as you've been seeing it coming since the beginning of the pandemic and since it stopped.
Well, it's a big change for us here. It's a big change at the same time as no change, because it's for us in China, it's almost business as usual. So we can really continue to work properly, and having there is some timing will change for collectioning or for presentation or the big fair in China, but the work is as usual, except about the tools. Tools are very different. We're gonna work much more online and travel much less, but I think also there is a big change in mentality here in China. I can see that a lot of younger designer also are getting really aware of what's going on globally, and really want to change and promote change in China, which is very interesting.
Okay, so
it's very positive somehow.
Okay, about the consumers, maybe Vladimir. What are the impact of is the impact of the pandemic on their behavior? Has it changed? Is it different?
Yeah, I think, like Luc said, it's back to normal, but there is a form of change that happened because of the very sudden crisis that China went beginning of 2020, and so we've seen in studies that there are two kind of worries that impacted most Chinese was around the concept of healthiness and also environment. So they are very focused on getting more eco-powered and those are growing concerns for consumers in China.
Is that something new?
Yeah, it was already started with some policies. You know, we have big air pollution in China, and also last year in Shanghai, we started to manage to sort out the waste, the home waste. So there's a lot of low intensity signals going and accumulating towards this direction. But I think there is a very strong awareness from the Chinese consumer around that. And I think also some brands have been very early capturing this trend. Like, for example, Louis Vuitton, that was just after the pandemic peak in China in the summer 2020, they did a big fashion show.
Sure, yeah.
I think it was the first live fashion show in the world after the start of the pandemic, and the whole fashion show was around the topic of the circulation of the fashion, something about recyclable and about an idea of patchworking and recreating clothes from old clothes, and also that the concept is a circulating fashion show. Mm-hmm. This I think was, for example, very timely, responding to the shift of the consumers.
So, what was the impact of the show? Did the consumers were sensible to that, or?
Well, I think I think it impacted the influencers a lot, and I think it has drawn a lot of I would say other fresh initiatives from other brands like Gucci as well, and that has been very kind of successful, I think, this year with their campaign. But for the Louis Vuitton, I think that they've been managing to, I think, refresh and keep not only with this fashion show that is more eco-powered, let's say, with other initiatives that they've started in the last years that attract younger consumers. So they've been able to, I think, those campaigns are enabling the brand to renew a little bit their usual customer base and attract the interest of new customers, which I think for a brand with this heritage and is also something very impressive to observe.
Okay, so these consumers, these young consumers, what do they expect now? What are they expecting? What do they want?
I think they expect first that the brand is also available on and capturing new channels, like the e-commerce is very developed in China. It has also grown even after the pandemic, again with a rise of more than 15% last year, and they also have they like to see the brands on with new interactions that are more immersive, like live streams, and also this type of social e-commerce that engage that are produced with sometimes smaller means, not always. Sometimes it's also very well staged as maybe a very luxury setup and stuff. But sometimes they're also very freshly made, which kind of make the brand more accessible. And you can also go through a key influencer to develop to get some fresh knowledge or interest into the brand. So I think there is a lot of curiosity, and also the expectation to go into that the brand is not too static, that they also create this type of collaboration with an influencer, with a new brand, with other brands that are, for example, you have you can see Gucci and Doraemon just around this time. They started. Doraemon is a character from anime from Japan, and they are doing a kind of a crossover collection using Doraemon cartoon IP, which is, I think, very fresh. And this is the type of freshness that the Chinese consumer are looking for, because that actually reflects a thirst for novelty and also a form of confidence in the way they express themselves, they explore. So beside this novelty, they also look for, I think, very strong experiences beyond that goes beyond the clothes, and they try to get into a stronger universe that can be staged by the brand.
And in this regard, do you think that these expectations are really different from those in Europe or in the US or even the rest of the world? Do they see them?
Yeah, I think at this stage, because China has started a bit faster after because we're in a way in a post-pandemic in China, with still everyone being cautious, and you can still see that we are in China. The Chinese consumers are extra cautious to protect this little haven that we have, but I would say that I think that what is different. One difference is that currently Chinese consumer are restarted evolving, exploring. They keep a bit cautious, but they are progressing, and they are almost the only one. And they feel really pampered by many brands that are bringing a lot of attention in this market. Sure. But I would say just in one angle, I think one angle that is changing a lot, I think, is around the topic of femininity, which I think we've seen a lot of innovation as well going on in brands in cosmetics. With brands like Perfect Diary or Girl Cult that are new, which explore, I think, different type of femininity that what we can see traditionally from what is brought from the West in the market in China, and bringing some new type of themes, in the world of fashion and luxury brands.
Okay. So during the pandemic, the market kind of stopped. And so, Luc, do you feel there is a rise for local brands in China? Is there a growing interest for Chinese heritage or traditions? Or
yes, definitely very, very big one. If I just can add something on the previous question, I think it's very interesting.
Yeah.
The Chinese consumer for luxury product is very young in China, which is the main difference with Europe and the Western side. Not everyone know how much they are young. So I think those brands are really trying to match what they are doing every day. And, the usage of TikTok, of all those things to do very short movie, very short challenge is really a tone and a voice to talk to those very specific, super young consumer for the luxury market. So it's why I think it's so different from Europe, for example. It was just to add that specificity is very important.
So it's not millennials anymore, it's below that.
They're like 20 something. They're super young. Mm. Like Burberry, they did challenge on TikTok. So about a scarf. So you buy the scarf and you do things. And also they attract those young consumers with maybe smaller products. So it's going to be accessory. It's going to be a little makeup. It's going to be t-shirt with a logo. So it's the lower range maybe, which more affordable for them. But this is really growing. And that also, there is a phenomenon of, lower tier city in China, where maybe those brands are not present physically, like third tier city, second tier city. So the only way to get those products are online, and online you want to have fun. So it's really, all this is quite linked into the behavior of the consumer, I think.
Sure. So back to the.
Yes, sorry.
No. That was important to say. The Chinese heritage, or even these young consumers, are they
very growing?
Okay.
It's really taking a big step in China, and we see those. There is local brands who are really pushing that idea of street culture, pop Chinese culture. There is like a brand like Yuoya, who is very like a local brand who is really having a momentum now. It's like high fashion with a street pop culture. It's a lot about storytelling. It's about telling, what the parents were doing. It's really like a street culture. That's on one part. And there is also that phenomenon on about the costume, the historical costume. We call it the hanfu. It was the costume they were wearing in the dynasty of the Han, long robes, and a lot of young people are cosplaying with that costume now, and we see it in even in smaller cities. And also there is the idea of some cultural administration or cultural local government who want to push that idea to bring back the culture. So that's very interesting with the costume itself. It's like a cosplay of basically.
But it's only like a cosplay thing right now. It's not like forever.
No, it's a cosplay, but it really shows the attention of those young to their costume, and that's very new. I mean, I have been here 16 years working with designer all that time, and when I arrived, I really, from the beginning, I tried to bring that idea of heritage and tell the designer, well, can you bring stories, who are close to you, that, about the costume, the Chinese costume, which is so rich, right? There is so many elements, or about the things you have been experiencing, right? And it was a war for so many years. It was, no, we don't want that. No one cares. We want something new, fresh. And it was Western. But now they really want, and there is a big momentum for Chinese brand. And not only on that costume side. I think there is many brands with Chinese designer who bring in their sense, their feelings, their history, and those brands are. Yeah. I think there is a shift. Yeah. Also, I think in a way, you can see some consumer now, also in China, who want to have that embrace like a more slower living and paying more attention to natural. And it's also going back to, there is some cities who are pushing to have back young people to go back to the countryside, even in China, which is very new. That's very new. And they are broadcasting TV shows super interesting about fooding, about heritage, about artisanal. It's very rich, and they are very into it. So that's quite new, I think.
And you think that this has been accelerated or speeded up by the pandemic?
Yes, definitely. Okay. Because there is a slower pace, and we know that in those small cities, they are more protected. There is less traveling around, and even today, when we are traveling ourselves, when we are traveling outside of big cities, if we want to go to smaller cities, they are much more protective from the outside, because they are, for the virus, for everything, they really pay attention of, preserving what they have.
Okay. So Vladimir, in the light of what we just said, what are today the challenges for the, let's say, European brands coming to China? Concretely, what are the opportunities and how should they start? Vladimir, you should. We don't hear you anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just I think for foreign brands that are currently and the one that were established already, they are very much challenged because there is so many new brands, Chinese brands that are exploring. As Luc said, some of the heritage leveraging, for example, for Perfect Diary that I mentioned before in the makeup, maybe some colors, reappropriating some colors that are very Chinese, some pride, or and we can see really with this type of social commerce the ability to connect with customers and to be quite quickly competitive because they're able to create communities and to create very quickly, not maybe on their own the best product, but they create collaborations, and then after that they very quickly think about staging it. It's in the DNA of the new Chinese entrepreneurs and creators. So what I want to say for the foreign brands, I think they need to learn from that. They need to compete, almost to imagine having spin-offs out of their historical brand, or to even take their brand and experiment within it, some sub-collections or some ways to connect and to play on the same term as the new brands in China.
But how do you do that without compromising your own DNA, your own history? That's tricky.
Yes, but I think this is also the occasion to re-explore it, because I think you can take this heritage and try to find ways to make eco with a lot of structuring themes, like we talk about eco-responsibility. We can look at ways to connect it with the crafts from China. We can, there's different angles, and also with the young, fresh outlook, because I think this is the whole challenge for the brands. But I think the brands that are succeeding the best right now in China, that are keeping always a consistent level of engagement with the customers, with this growing young customers, I think, and which are going to be very important for the future. I think they are the one that succeed in refreshing their brand without losing their heritage.
So is the most important thing to have a very good brand story, very clear, very defined, maybe Luc? And very good visual identity. Is it important?
Yeah, I think it's very important. The storytelling is very, very high and very important. And I think you have to really make sure that even if your product is different, the whole storytelling around and the whole brand DNA is also different, and bring on the market something very specific. It's not only about a very good product, very nice product. It's really how you present it. Yeah. The VI is very important, of course, and Vladimir knows a lot about the name, which is highly important, and the image around the name. So that's very important, and the experience you're going to offer online and offline, which is really part of the whole thing. You might not sell your product offline, but you need to provide a very specific experience. There is also a lot of we see in shopping mall many pop-up shops, more and more, who are really pushing new idea, trying new things, and it's really a way also for new brand, international brand, to enter the market, to try something very new and very different with a pop-up, and maybe to trying. I think trying is important.
Yeah, not being afraid to try, actually.
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
And you were talking about the name, the image, and also the importance of the experience offline and online. So yes. The outbreak has accelerated the consumer shift to digital. Vladimir, I assume you work with that every day, the importance of social networks today. Can you tell us maybe examples of who has done well, and what is a good, appealing storytelling on the social networks today?
So, Luc, feel free to also have your own share your own experience with your brands. But I, from my angle, where I can see a lot of the big brands communications, I've been quite impressed with Gucci this year, and the way they really adopted a very different style that could be like retro for a lot of us that are our age now, but then it was very efficient to create a distinctive. It was bold at first, and then they managed to make it progressively, influencing, I think, a lot of other brands around them. I think the other ones, that I can think of. Also linked with a lot of example that I've seen myself, more in the cosmetics as well, with the use of very strong influencers in China that have helped bring those brands forward and more known by the Chinese consumers. That's I think from my angle, and I let Luc maybe give more examples from Chinese brands.
Yeah, but also international brands. Some other good, I think, good example are maybe Moncler, very good example, because they're doing so many co-branding, so many capsule collection. They renew their style all the time, and they are really playing with that momentum with skiing in China. With there is like really a rise of the skiing activity in China. So those outdoor products are very getting a momentum, I think. And if you have the product which is highly fashionable and highly technical, you are succeeding today. Other brand like the same regarding the ski wear, Bosidang, which is a big the biggest, I think, for down jacket in China, which is like a huge market. Mm-hmm. They are really doing a lot of co-branding. So many co-branding they did this past year. I think Gaultier, Jean-Paul Gaultier, Kenzo. I mean, they're really creating new things all the time. So
you're saying that a brand should never stop doing things, new collaborations,
never. Yes.
And Chinese consumers don't feel overwhelmed by all these.
It can be a bit tricky. Some of the Chinese brand I work with, they have been doing co-branding and capsule collection so much that now there is the other side, which is the consumer is basically only waiting for those specific products and don't buy the main collection anymore. Okay. So it's a bit tricky. I think you should do it because it gives a new flavor, a new rhythm in your collection. But don't forget to still work your base and the core collection, which is very important.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean that there won't be any more main collection anymore.
It's
still important to have one, to have a strong DNA.
I think the main collection, it's also the core. It's your DNA. It's what you really, who you are as a brand and what's your voice as a brand. Mm-hmm. The capsule collection or the co-branding is really the air du temps, the new flavor and the inspiration of the moment. But the core is really what tells everyone what's different from you to the others, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. Vladimir, is there something else you wanted to add, something important for you? No?
No, I think, when mentioning all these new winter kind of clothes like Moncler, it's a really huge market in China, everything north of Qingdao, towards Beijing. So it's a really huge market. And there are a lot of new brands entering that space. And there's also a creation that started from China and that went back to France, like Nivos. Maybe you've heard about this brand, but it's one of and there are many French brands that are right now in that place with, I can think also Fusal that I've seen entering, and they're also going to look for partnerships and how to grow in China. So I think this really shows how those trends like even skiing, new lifestyles are changing, because it was really difficult to imagine the success of Moncler a couple of years ago and in China. But with the hindsight, it looks pretty obvious, and there is room for a lot of new brands to continue to grow this interest for having more stories, more angles. And some brands, for example, like Canada Goose, that is in that area, seems to be more monolithic. So it's more like, less in the air du temps. So they kind of explore a little bit less. It's quite curious for me to see how it's going to succeed. Because, I mean, and at this time it seems to be working well. I don't know if it's a lot of copies or time, but compared to the other brands, they seem less exploring. So, it's something to observe to see which strategy will work best.
Okay. So we are running out of time. So I have to thank you both. Thank you, Luc. Thank you, Vladimir, for being here with us. Thank you for all these explanations. Please note that the second edition of Première Vision Shenzhen will take place next 28 to 30 April at the Shenzhen Convention and Exhibition Center in Futian. This is a new Première Vision area in the heart of Fashion Source, the biggest clothing exhibition and one of China's 3 biggest textile exhibitions. I also just realized that the Chinese New Year started a few days ago, so Happy New Year to everybody. And please stay connected as we have more to say, not about fashion, not about Chinese zodiac, though this will be a very good year this year, a better year. Thank you all for watching us. Goodbye. Please stay safe. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Luc. Thank you, Vladimir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.